is the Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, the Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famer Mike Van Diest joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course, at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
the Jason Walker Show.
Welcome and happy Wednesday, the Jason Walker Show. We are presented by Capital Collision Center. Montana State Law says it's your vehicle. It is your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center as we try to move our wires around us. And man, I've talked about it before, but when I got into my vehicle got into a wreck July 2nd, 2020. Capital Collision Center had it done. Looked like it just came off the lot. Get into Capital Collision Center today, if you so choose. Or need to, I guess, is the right phrasing. Coming up today, we are going to talk to Lance Hartzler, the great sports reporter over at the Missoulian, 406mtsports.com. Get a Grizzly basketball update. Also, we're going to talk about some Bobcat sports as well. You and I, NAI rankings, and a whole lot more coming up. We have state tournament starting tomorrow. Wrestling gets underway tomorrow at Metro Park. We will not be here tomorrow. We will be doing basketball down in Bozeman, the Bozeman Hawks, Gallatin Raptors, boys and girls doubleheader. So that'll be on SWX Montana. So no show here tomorrow, but lots of fun anyway. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can listen on Podbean, Network One Sports, TreasureStateRadio.com, and more. And our phone number is always 406-209-1267. Our Twitter handle at JWalkerSport. Email Jason at JasonWalkerShow.com. All right, opening segment brought to you by Montana Custom Log Homes, the premier log home company in the industry. Veteran-owned, woman-owned, family-owned, and operated. Milled, handcrafted, and timber frame, the three major divisions, 15 plus floor plans, and they will craft your home to last for generations. Check out Montana Custom Log Homes at yourcustomlog.com. Okay, so Troy Anderson continues just to make news. Killed it last week in preparation for the Senior Bowl. He killed it at the Senior Bowl, and now he's one of 324 players that has been invited to next month's NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. It's the top showcase for NFL draft prospects for physical, mental testing, and it'll be March 1st through the 7th. It's the first Bobcat Anderson is to receive a combine invite since tight end Bo Sandlin back in 2016. He was the last selected in the NFL draft. Anderson is going to be drafted. It's just a matter of second, third, or fourth round, basically. There's, according to ESPN, Anderson is the 81st best player in the draft player rankings. And he's definitely looks like he's going to be a top 100 pick. Todd McShay, ESPN has him at number 8 in his inside linebacker rankings. He doesn't expect him to fall past the third round. Mel Kiper Jr., draft expert, said that Anderson could go in the second round is possible. Now, the Bobcats have only had one guy selected in the first round, Bill Kohler, back in the 70s, but he had a pretty good career. So, let's see here. Anderson's best 40 is a 4.5, which is but 6th at last year's combine, and that could definitely get him up into the draft boards even higher. He had the second fastest time in the 100-meter dash when he was in high school, and that still would have been second in each of the past 2 track and field seasons. So that's how fast he is. And if you've seen Troy Anderson play, you know his side-to-side movement. I mean, he's just a great player, but his lateral movement is amazing. So I expect Troy to show well at the combine and then get drafted. Idaho's defensive lineman Noah Ellis, Southern Utah's offensive lineman Braxton Jones will be also at the Combine. The last, Dante Olson, who went undrafted and was a little bit with the Eagles practice squad, was with the CFL Edmonton Elks last year. He retired last summer. So good luck to Troy. That's going to be cool. Billings Mustangs have a new manager, longtime coach and manager in the major leagues, Jim Riggleman, taking over in Billings. I don't want to say he's fallen, but, I mean, he's gone from managing 5 different Major League Baseball teams to now working as the manager of a Pioneer League team that has no connections to the majors. Remember, the Pioneer League is an independent league. He's been with the Reds, Nationals, Mariners, Cubs, and Padres as a manager. He's also been to Cleveland as a coach, St. Louis, L.A., and I mean, it's great. Look, it's great to have him there. He's going to do a heck of a job. It's a great hire for Billings. I mean, somebody with that experience, no doubt, is going to do well in the Magic City with the Mustangs. So that'll be pretty cool. Let's see, what else did we get? Okay, NAI rankings came out, and we'll start with the men, where the Frontier still has 2 teams and only 2 teams ranked. Number 1 is still William Penn out of Iowa, Loyola, Louisiana, number 2, Indiana Wesleyan 3, William Jessup 4, Talladega out of Alabama is 5, William Jessup out of California. And then in 11th, moving up 1 spot, Carroll, 23-3 on the year. And at number 14, moving up 6 spots, 22-5, Montana Tech. So Thursday night at the PE Center in Helena, it's a top 15 showdown. Winner pretty much guarantees themselves the Frontier Conference title and the number 1 seed in the playoffs. They're both going to have the first round bye. Nobody can catch the Saints or the Diggers, so they'll have the first round off of the Frontier Conference playoffs. But Frontier Conference number 1 seed, number 2 seed could be come down to tomorrow night, and it will come down to tomorrow night. Each has won 1 game against the other. Carroll's won at home. Tech pounded the Saints a couple of weeks ago down in Butte. So tomorrow night, Carroll College PE Center is going to be a good one, as Montana Tech and Carroll College battle on the men's side. On the women's side, you've got Southeastern Florida at number 1, Thomas More, Kentucky, number 2, Westmont, California, 3, Marion, Indiana, 4, and Campbellsville, Kentucky is 5. Staying steady at number 7, the Carroll College women, 21-5 overall. And then moving up 3 to number 15 is Rocky, and dropping 3 to number 19 is Providence. So, because Carroll beat Providence, as did Rocky, last week. So, is that, or 2 weeks, in the last 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So it's going to come down to those 3. Rocky continues to lead the Frontier by a game over the Saints and the Argos. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks of the regular season. In fact, I think there's only the 4 games left, right, in the regular season. Championships are, I believe, February 28th and March 1st. So that'll be fun. We're coming to the end of the basketball season, believe it or not. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. What else did we see that we wanted to hit on before? Jake Sanderson out of Whitefish is going to be expected to arrive in Beijing late Thursday or early Friday. Been stuck in L.A. but cleared COVID protocol, so now he can go play with his U.S. Olympic hockey team. So there is that. I think that's about it for the big news out of the day, because, did you see last night, though? There was the big basketball game, as number 4 Lame Deer got past number 1 Lodge Grass, and it had nothing to do with either player. Jerry Highwalker picked the pocket of Damon Grovant and scored with 1.8 seconds left to knock off the Indians. It was 73-all. Grovant looking for the last shot. Highwalker stole it, got the layup. And so there you go. It's basically, it was just wild. And Lame Deer knocks off Lodgegrass, snapping a 20-game win streak for the Indians. It'll be a fun one. It'll be a fun tournament in Class B, there's no question. Journey Emerson had 26, but just scored 4 in the second half. Let's see, Grovant had 27 in that matchup. So, all right, let's see here. MSUB Golf is down in Houston right now. Caleb Trost, Riley Lawrence playing in the Houston Classic, hosted by Southern Nazarene. Jackets finished the final round with a team score of 307, went 929 for the 3-round tournament. Caleb Trost, the 24th overall, and Riley Lawrence finished 41st. So, yes, it's golf season as well. We're still talking basketball. We're still talking wrestling, swimming, but it's also golf season. Let's not forget that. And some schools open up spring practice, like spring football, next week. How about that? All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. When we return, we're going to check in with Grizzly Hoops. Griz men stumbled a little bit last week, and the Griz women picking up a big win, helping out Montana State in the process. And there's an update on COVID. Yep. So we'll talk to Lance Hartzler from 406mtsports.com, great sports reporter over there with the Missoulian. He'll join us next and talk about the Griz and the Big Sky, the opening segment of the Jason Walker Show, presented by Montana Custom Log Homes, the premier log company, home company in the industry. 50-plus years experience. They'll build you a home crafted to last for generations. Check them out at yourcustomlog.com. Lance Hartzler coming up next. Jason Walker Show brought to you by Capital Collision Center.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle, and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Strength, beauty, grit, superior craftsmanship. Our homes have it all. At Montana Custom Log Homes, if you can dream it, we can build it. With 3 divisions and over 50 years experience, we've got you covered. From a showcase home to a small cabin, we make your vision a reality. Because every cowboy wants a castle for his queen. Montana Custom Log Homes, crafting homes that last for generations.
Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting, as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of the Jason Walker Show.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
This is the Jason Walker Show.
Welcome back, Jason Walker Show. Happy Wednesday. Remember, no show tomorrow. We'll be down in Bozeman, broadcasting on SWX, Montana, as we get the Bozeman Gallatin boys and girls doubleheader. Looking forward to that boys game a lot. And girls game should be fun. Two teams a little struggling, but should be a fun game nonetheless. And we'll get to see some great basketball on all four teams. So that'll be tomorrow night, I think 5:45 for our first game for the boys, and then the girls after that. And we get to call it with our good friend Alex Eshelman, finally. Like, we've been waiting 2 years to call a game with Alex, and we get to do it tomorrow. So looking forward to it. Got on this day in history, much more still to come. But it is time to welcome in where Alex normally would be, but she's busy today. But so instead of talking Bobcats in this time slot, we're going to be talking Griz in this time slot, Missoulian.com, 406mtsports.com. You can check out his great work there. Lance Hartzler joining us from the Garden City. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I was thinking, did my opening segment today. I sometimes call it the walk and talk, which is weird, but my last name's Walker, and I'm talking, so it kind of makes sense, right? Anyway, right. Enough of that. But I was thinking, we're still talking about state wrestling starting tomorrow. So we'll be done with wrestling after Saturday night. State swimming is coming up, I think, this weekend, too. We've got basketball tournaments starting from the high school level, going up to, obviously, college, March Madness just around the corner. And now we're talking golf. MSUB Golf was down in Houston. So does it ever end? I mean, which is good for us, but it's like, let's just do one season at a time, right?
Oh, no, man, it never ends. I mean, give it, another month for me talking about track and field?
Yeah, exactly. And softball. And
yeah, softball, Legion baseball is right around the corner, of course. I think
Pioneer League.
As soon as next year, we're going to get high school baseball.
Yes, that's all right. Is that a done deal in the spring, or are they going to do it anytime before that?
I actually do not know when they're going to actually probably learn that.
We should all figure that. I am guessing spring, but you do the Legion season and then you come out, but then you lose football guys. I don't know. I think it's going to be spring. Anyway, let's talk hoops. Griz stumbling last week on the road, losing to Weber and then losing to Portland State, or Idaho State rather, for the first time in 13 years. They got it turned around Monday, but what happened last week, Lance?
Well, I guess we'll start with the Weber State game last Thursday. That was a close game. I mean, it came down to 5 points. Honestly, I think the Griz had the game at some point in the late second half. I thought they were going to win it. And then Dylan Jones, Weber State, 6'6", 240-pound point forward, all kind of every position guy who leads the league in rebounding, decides to kind of take over. And Weber State was able to get on a run. They got some calls to go their way. In a game like that, the small things make the difference. And unfortunately, Montana just came out with a loss, even though in reality, they can't really be upset with that performance. That was a good game. I mean, the first game in Missoula that I covered came down to Linnell Martin's buzzer beater. But then you get Saturday where kind of the exact opposite happens, right? You lose by 23 points to who is arguably one of the, if not the worst team in the Big Sky, San State.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see that, and you see that on Twitter. I was watching it down in Utah because I was doing ski joring, but you look at it coming across, you're like, wait, what? What am I looking at here? But yeah, Idaho State getting that big win, and man, oh man, it just doesn't seem Grizzly-esque, if you know what I'm saying.
I think it really was one of those games that every college basketball team is going to get into, right? You go into it after an emotional, high-stakes road loss, and then you're just not necessarily, I don't want to say not ready, but you just come out flat. You get punched in the mouth early. I mean, Idaho State, I think, hit 8 of their first 9 shots, took a 10-point lead in the second half, and then added another 10 onto that to win by 23.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, the way the Griz have played the last, I guess, 15 years, they're the target. I mean, everybody's gunning for Montana men, and Idaho State's no different, and they came out and got the big win.
Oh, exactly. Montana and Weaver State, like those are the two programs you have a target on their back.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're always going to gun for them, especially in a season like this where Montana, they controlled Idaho State pretty well when they played them in Missoula earlier this season. It wasn't close. They dominated, and Idaho State's a team that they're just looking for something to go right. So they're the type of team that they're due to have that type of win. They're going to knock off someone surprising at home who's in the top 5 of the Big Sky standings. That always happens. It's hard to sweep teams in conference play.
Right.
You're not going to sweep everybody, even the Idaho State, even the Idahos. And this weekend, Montana has NAU and Portland State looking for sweeps over two teams that are sneaky, but not necessarily you want to say good. Portland State's more dangerous. NAU, they've had their problems.
And then getting to come home and playing Southern Utah, which was a nice bounce-back win, 78-67 on Monday night at Dahlberg, and that definitely helps right the ship a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Secure mentioned it, that they were able to execute their game plan. And what you have to do against Southern Utah, that's a team that is full of rangy, streaky athletes that love to get up and down the floor. Some of them can shoot threes. Their point guard, John Knight's third. He's not a three-point shooter, but he's one of the best, if not the best, straight-line driver in the Big Sky. And Brandon Whitney did what Brandon Whitney does. He stopped him from getting in the lane. He forced him into uncomfortable mid-range jumpers, a couple tough post-ups that Southern Utah just kind of force-fed him the ball in the post. And Tevian Jones, the Big Sky preseason MVP, he shot like 3 of 12, still got his 20 points, I believe. Most of that came from the free throw line. And Montana just made Southern Utah's life difficult. The Birds couldn't run. They couldn't get their open shots from deep. Their best shooter, Dre Marine, was held to maybe 1 or 2 attempts. Montana just shut them down. It was you said Saturday didn't look like a Griz game. Monday looked like a Griz game.
Well, and it helped that Josh Bannon was back too, because this kid out of Australia he's an absolute beast, and he struggled against Idaho State. I guess that's the best way to say it. But I think he put up a career high 26 on Monday night in that big win, and he told 406mtsports.com, I think it was you. He took it personally, and he came back Monday ready to do Josh Bannon things, and he did it.
Yeah, in the post-game media availability, he's talking to me and a couple of reporters. Like, he mentioned that he took that loss personally. He only took like 3 or 4 shots in Idaho State. He just wasn't there. I don't want to say he played bad. He just didn't. It didn't seem like he was around for much of it. He was almost like absent, but he was on the court. And then comes Southern Utah. He gets the ball a couple times in the first 10 minutes, and he's just dancing around Southern Utah's bigs in the lanes. He's doing up and unders, spinning to his right hook, to his left hook, getting anywhere he wants. They had no answer for him.
And he is tough to guard anyways. We talked to Lance Hartzler here at 406mtsports.com, great sports reporter with the Missoulian. All right, you mentioned the games this weekend, and they're both at home, which is key, but it starts – maybe is it a trap game against Northern Arizona because you came off the two losses where you played well in a loss, like you said, they played not well in another loss. You get the rebound win, but now you're focused on Portland State on Saturday night, but you got to have NAU come to town Thursdays. Is that a trap game?
I would say no,
okay,
based off what NAU has done this year. I would consider Portland State, for instance, if that was the middle game with another one on Saturday, I think they're a trap game because Portland State has shown the ability to knock off really, really good teams this year. NAU, they have Jalen Cone, a 5'11" transfer from Virginia Tech, who's just been lighting up the scoreboard. I think put up 36 against Sacramento State in a win. But in terms of league wins, NAU really hasn't beaten anyone. They have a win over, I think they've beaten Sac State twice, might have a win over Idaho, and that's about it. I think they have 4 conference wins. I'm spacing on their 4th win. They have one guy that can light you up. But the last time Montana played them, Brandon Whitney and the defense held him to 12 points on 12 shots.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So NAU, at the end of the day, is not a trap game. But Saturday night, and I had Danny Sprinkle on, Montana State's coach, yesterday, and he said that Portland State team is gelling as good as anybody in the conference, which says a lot considering the Bobcats have won 9 in a row. But that Portland State game looks to be real dangerous for both the Cats and the Griz this weekend.
Oh, I agree. I think right now Portland State's the most dangerous team of anyone outside the top 4. So if you know the top 4, it's going to be Weber, Montana State, Southern Utah, UM. And then you just got a bit of a mess between Northern Colorado, Eastern Washington, and Portland State. Of those 3, I think Portland State's the most dangerous. They put up 100 and some odd points on Northern Colorado like a week or 2 ago. They've been able to show that they can really compete. They're gelling. They're playing their system, which is hectic, it's chaotic, it's turnover heavy, it's press heavy. That's a scary team if they're on.
And what makes them so good right now? And I mean, obviously they're scoring, but this is, like I said, the Cats have won 9 in a row, and yet everybody's talking about Portland State right now.
I think just because they're dictating the style of the game. Teams are having to play to their tempo. That's when we see Montana winning games, it's because they're making teams play their tempo. When Northern Colorado, same thing. Southern Utah, same thing. That's what Portland State's in the middle of. They're finding ways to make teams play that hectic, frantic style, which a lot of teams in the Big Sky don't really like playing that way, other than maybe Northern Colorado and at times Southern Utah.
Okay, that makes sense then. Can the Griz take that pressure?
I think they can. I think they have the defense and the discipline and the coaching on offense to slow down. They like to run, but they know how to play slow, and they know how to get the ball to a guy like Josh Bannon, who, being a 6'9" power forward center who has obviously skills to play fast, they can play slow and just dump the ball into him in the post and let him work.
That makes sense. Talking with Lance Hartzler on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline, when you look at scoring defense, Portland State in there at 6th, the Griz number 1. They're giving up 63.5 points per game. Bobcats in there at number 2, and then when you look at scoring margin, it's MSU, the Cats, or the Griz, and then you got Portland State down there in 7th, just a +1 in scoring margin. But like you said, a lot of that has come lately because they played so well. Individually, who are we looking at for PSU?
I'm spacing on his name. They have a power forward who's a transfer from Arizona State who's been really playing very well since coming down from the Pac-12 level. I'm just absolutely drawing a blank on who Portland State has.
Is that the James Jean Marie or whatever?
He's not the one I'm thinking of. He's also a load. He's one of the better rebounders in the Big Sky, and he poses a threat, especially if, as we've seen Montana have foul issues, if Matt Anderson and Derek Carter-Hollinger are not able to stay on the floor, guys like him will cause a problem, especially on the glass.
Well, I'm looking forward to those 2 games. All right, before we talk about the women, we have to mention that there's only going to be the one game for the Bobcat women and the Lady Griz this weekend. It's because, well, I guess the Cats are going to play at Southern Utah and make up a game Thursday night, but Portland State women with the little bit of the COVID issues. So I know this is not making Brian Holsinger happy, but you know what? Every team's dealing with it, and adjustment of schedules. But this is not a good situation, Lance, because you and I were talking. We're running out of times to get these games in now.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the Big Sky Conference a couple weeks ago about it. I never got around to writing an actual story based off the interview, but they know that they're going to have to eventually, if these games run up to the end of the schedule, basically, they're going to have to stop rescheduling because you're going to get to a point where you just don't have room.
Right.
So say a game in the last week or 2 of the season has to get canceled or postponed, there's no room to put it anywhere, so they're not going to change the conference tournament.
Yeah, well, and you can't. I mean, so much work is done. You got TV contracts and all that. But it's just absolutely nuts. And I know, like I mentioned, Montana State, the women got into Portland today, found out about the COVID, so they turned around and flew right over to Cedar City to make up a game against Southern Utah from last month. And now I know the Lady Griz are going to play, instead of Thursday, they'll play Saturday, Monday, and then sometime next week, the 17th, an extra game or something like that with Portland State. But it's just a cluster. It's all over, and it doesn't make traveling easy. And I think, too, what's getting lost in the mix is they always talk about, you don't want to miss too much school time. Well, this is throwing a wrench into school time and mental aspects of things too, I think.
Oh, absolutely. This is leading to times where some teams are on the road for a week because of the weird schedule change when they should have been on the road for 5 days,
right,
or 4 days. And that's causing problems, I'm sure. I don't know for sure, but as a former college student, that would probably suck if you have to deal with that on a moment's notice.
Yeah.
And that's just, unfortunately, the rules and what the Big Sky and what other conferences are having to deal with. I mean, the Big Sky's not alone. Every single conference is dealing with it. But at the end of the day, you got to start to wonder when this becomes something they need to start to look at and actually change.
Well, and if you look at this, if you look at the standings, and we'll talk about the women right now, but Portland State sitting there at 0-12, it's not going to matter if those games get rescheduled or not, I don't think. Unless it's an easy win, and let's say there's a tie for first or second or third, do you play that game then just to separate, a tie somewhere in the Big Sky standings? You know what I'm saying there? It's just those games don't mean anything,
I hear you.
but they do. They could, but they don't.
Exactly. It comes into a question of competitive balance, of course. I know Brian Holsinger after the Montana State game noted that about it's starting to become a trick where some teams are more well-rested. We saw that with the Idaho State upset over the Montana men's basketball team. Idaho State hadn't played for over a week. Montana was in the middle of a pretty large stretch of games with actually playing a normal schedule.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot, and I see it in the high school ranks and the Frontier as well, where teams are playing 4 games in 7 or 8 days. You go back to that. You could argue against Holsinger's comment after that Cat Lady Griz game was, the Bobcats hadn't played in 16 days. They play Idaho, and since then they've won 8 in a row. So, they've kind of had it out there too. But let's talk about the Lady Griz specifically. Huge win against Southern Utah, which ended up helping both Idaho State and Montana State, but also helping the Lady Griz too.
Yeah, I mean, what a weird weekend for them, right? They were 2-1. They went off a buzzer beater. Then they give up a massive lead, if I remember right, against one of the best teams in the league, only to fall. And then they win in another exciting game at Southern Utah.
Which is
like that's some cardiac stuff right there.
Well, the cardiac Lady Griz, Sophia Stiles hitting the first game winner of her career. How cool was that?
Oh, it was sick. I was able to watch the video of it and read some of the reactions to it, and you love to see it.
Yeah.
Like, buzzer beaters are some of the most pure, joyful things to see in the sport of basketball, right? Especially when it's someone's first time doing it. Like Linnell Martin, his reaction when he did it for UM. And now Stiles just so genuine, like, I've never done that before. And she was obviously a dominant player at Malta. You would have thought that maybe someone of that level would have done it before, but hey, maybe not. And now she does it at home for her team in her home state. That is sick.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome and definitely cool. All right, so let's run down the Lady Griz this week. They've got Idaho tomorrow night, and then they'll play Idaho. Or no, wait, where am I at? I'm about a week ahead. All right, so at NAU, and then at Eastern Washington, and then at host Idaho, at Portland State, at Idaho, and then you play Idaho twice in 4 days, and then you wrap up with Southern Utah, Montana State for your last homestand before finishing at UNC and Sac State. And those are the games I think that have to be played, because you look at Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona, Sac State, the Lady Griz, all bunched in there in the standings. Those are ones that are going to have to get played. So we can't have any more COVID issues for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I would argue that we're running up. If the cancellation comes up in the next week or two, it might not be able to get rescheduled. But then you have that idea, like we're saying, if it's a game between some of the teams fighting for seeding, especially for that bye spot, there's an argument made. You just kind of make it happen.
Yeah, play it in Boise if you have to. Honestly.
Yeah, play the day before the tournament if the teams agree. I would think some teams and players may not be down for that, but I actually kind of dig that idea.
All right.
I don't have to play the games from a writer's perspective.
Well, exactly. All right, take me through the NAU women and Eastern Washington women for the Lady Griz here in the next 5 days for their games.
Well, tell me if you're shocked. I know much more about the NAU women than I did Eastern Washington women.
I am actually not shocked at that at all.
So they bring back just about everyone from last year's team that was picked pretty high in the preseason polls. Mm. They are another dangerous team. They have Kyrie Kurashid still. They have Lauren Orndorff back. He missed all of last season because of a health issue that due to COVID, due to a just precaution because she had a collapsed lung the season prior, she didn't want to play last year. She's back, fully healthy. She's an important piece. As far as I understand, Nina Radford, one of the better players in the league, has been kind of off and on, not playing as much. I think she's been hurt. They did take a blow, though, a couple weeks ago. JJ Nakai, who's a local of Flagstaff, she was ruled academically ineligible, which took away one of their leading scorers and arguably their best three-point shooter. So they've gone through a bit of roster moves lately, but they're still NAU. Lori Payne's a good coach. Mm-hmm. They're dangerous, but this is a big weekend for the Lady Griz. I think, like we mentioned, with those games coming up, you've got to think that they need to sweep this, especially to get that top 5 spot. This is a pretty key weekend for them.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I said, they're 7-4, Sac State, NAU 7-5, and then UNC's in there at 5-7. And again, Idaho, who they played twice in a span of 4 days or 5 days, is 4-6. So anything can happen in that middle race. And of course, the top of the heap too. Let's not forget about that. But man, oh man, the Big Sky is living up to its reputation. It seemed like it took a couple of weeks, Lance, early on to kind of get things settled in, but now it's typical Big Sky basketball, and it's going to come down to the final couple weekends.
Oh, absolutely. Of course it does. This is how it does every year. We always have an idea eventually around early February who the top teams are, but it's kind of sick. Kyle Hansen mentioned this, actually, a writer for MTN. He mentioned that all of these state colleges in men's and women's basketball, MSU, are in the top 4 of their respective leagues. That's pretty sick to a state.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, plus Montana State, Weber, both in the mid-major top 25, which is a pretty big deal too.
Yes, I did notice that. They're getting some love, actually, from other mid-major blogs.
Hey, real quick, tell me about Jaden Green from track, breaking a 41-year-old record with a 7.97 in the 60 hurdles.
I honestly could not believe the online head when I read that. I'm like, oh, that's a really old record.
Right?
You don't see that very often. That's actually really thick.
It's pretty sweet, though. So what, he was 13th back in 2019 and then 7th in 2020. But this is a dude that can go pretty far, I think.
Yeah, and that's something you like to see. I know the Grizzlies track and field program hasn't been the most dominant program. They haven't been the most competitive. They've been able to produce athletes, and it's nice to see them having these athletes been able to put these marks together and show that this is more than a football school, more than a basketball school. Their Olympic sports, quote unquote,
right,
are starting to build up a bit more here and there.
And then real quick, I don't know if you cover tennis a whole lot, but tennis is doing pretty well over there too.
I mean, you knock off Boise State, get the Big Sky Player of the Week. That's a nice week. And they're 4-0 right now, 2-0 at home. Like that's not bad at all.
And of course the men knocking out Seattle, which is pretty fun too. So, by the way, you're going to have to start covering soccer and softball, or I guess softball coming up before soccer, but softball is just around the corner for you guys.
Yes, it is. I was able to actually cover a bit of Griz soccer, Griz soccer last spring, right when I got to Missoula, right before they went to the Missoula tournament. Then I was able to cover a bit of softball for the season ended. So I've actually had a little experience.
Yeah, that softball team has done well over there, and they're fun to watch. Was it Weber that's picked to win it, the Big Sky?
Yeah, I feel like that's an every year thing, right? If it's not UM, it's going to be Weber.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the two best softball teams in the Big Sky reside in Ogden and in Missoula. Hey, man, appreciate the time as always. We'll be in touch for next week, and man, it's fun to hear about the Griz finally. I mean, I talk about the Cats all the time, but trying to get somebody over there to come on the show to talk about the Griz, you're the best to do it.
Hey, man, always happy to. Always love talking Big Sky hoops.
And then, of course, in the fall, we get high school football from you, right?
Yes, sir.
You getting ready for high school tournaments? Because you have to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm not entirely. Great question still. I don't have an answer for you last week. Still don't have an answer for you.
Come on, Bill over there needs to figure things out. Do I yell at him? Is that the one, Speltz?
No, that's on me. I got to ask the question. I got to do my job and figure out my boss. Our off days alter. We never work. It feels like.
Hey, well, that's media. That's yeah. You're lucky if you get a day off it sometimes. Hey, Lance Hartzler, great sports reporter. Love reading your work over there, 406mtsports.com, Missoulian.com. Keep it up, and we'll talk next week.
Talk soon, man. Appreciate you as always.
That is Lance Hartzler joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline, and appreciate his great work with the Griz. He's fun. He's fun. He knows what he's talking about, too. And you can tell he worked in Flagstaff for a long time, so he knows northern Arizona. And he knows the women are really good. And despite a 10-10 overall record, it's going to be a tough one for the Lady Griz and for the Bobcat women this week, too, as they both head to NAU. The women of Montana play their Thursday. The Bobcat women head there on Saturday, I believe. So good stuff, though. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. And when we return, we're going to check in on this day in history. And who knows what else will surprise us when we come back. Jason Walker Show. This segment brought to you by Rucker's Furniture. Make the quality choice for your home at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
When you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture, this means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Everyone knows about Dinners Done Right and the convenience of the cook and carry cuisines. It's so easy to just stop by and you have something for dinner that night. But there's also one more thing you need to know about. Dinners Done Right Grab and Go Salad Bar. Yes, I said salad bar. Always the freshest ingredients, along with a daily soup and nacho bar too. So the next time you are in a rush or you just want to eat healthy, stop by Dinners Done Right for the soup, salad, and nacho bar. For monthly menus and more info, it's dinnersdoneright.com.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today.
Strength, beauty, grit, superior craftsmanship. Our homes have it all. At Montana Custom Log Homes, if you can dream it, we can build it. With 3 divisions and over 50 years experience, we've got you covered. From a showcase home to a small cabin, we make your vision a reality. Because every cowboy wants a castle for his queen. Montana Custom Log Homes, crafting homes that last for generations.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Welcome back, Jason Walker Show. Final segment on a Wednesday. If you want to weigh in on anything, you can. 406-209-1267. Cats, Griz, Frontier, Jim Riggleman taking over at Billings Mustangs manager. Been the manager for Cincinnati, the Nationals, the Mariners, the Cubbies, and the Pods. You can also weigh in on high school sports. State wrestling starts tomorrow down at Metro Park with the girls getting going, and then Friday both the boys and girls wrestle. Speaking of wrestling, this is pretty cool. Ivy Navarro and Jared Comack of the University of Providence both were named Cascade Conference Wrestler of the Week. Well, they've also been named the National Wrestler of the Week in the NAI. Navarro, a senior from Hawaii, won the 101-pound weight division at the Grandview Open last Saturday, one of the bigger tournaments. Navarro's been a top-ranked wrestler all season, took down number 2, number 4, and number 6 in winning the crown, and that's pretty cool. been dominating since she got onto campus. She's won 3 tournaments this year, won the Battle of the Rockies and the Maverick Open, was second at Missouri Valley a couple weeks ago. And the only loss of her season was at that tournament in Missouri Valley to NCAA wrestler Olivia Shore. And Coach Matt Atwood said, the scary part, quote, is, I don't think she wrestled her best this past weekend and was still dominant for us, end quote. And Navarro, the second Argo women's wrestler to be named the NAI National Wrestler of the Week this season. Ashley Guman did it back on November 17th. This is awesome. And the Argo women will next compete at the Cascade Tournament, February 27th, at the McLaughlin Center right there in Great Falls. Jared Comack, coach's kid, coming back from injury and is the NAI National Wrestler of the Week. The red shirt went 3-0 in 3 conference duels this past weekend, defeating number 5 Frederick Padilla of Vanguard and number 11 kid from Embry-Riddle, Keller Rock, and then defeated Josiah Appa, Arizona Christian, in a major. So, pretty cool. Comack ranked 14th at 165 in the country. Came back from an injury that he missed 2 months and is now 14-5. And his first week back was just a couple of weeks ago and won the Tyler Plummer out in Dickinson. And that's really cool that both Argos winning. So Comack and the men's team will host number 8 Northern Thursday night, final duel of the regular season. That'll be at 6 in the McLaughlin Center in Great Falls. So if you get a chance up there in the Electric City, go watch really good wrestling. By the way, the Argo men in the top 20 as well. But 8th ranked MSU Northern, I mean, that's a great duel, great rivalry duel. So if you get a chance to go see that, I highly recommend it. Of course, if you're in the Bozeman area or nearby Bozeman, make sure you stop by the Brick-Breen Fieldhouse tomorrow night. Pack the stands for the MSU men, as Danny Sprinkle talked about yesterday here on the Jason Walker Show. And, yeah, how about resiliency? That seems to be a key word the last couple of years for our high school and college kids. But the Bobcat women land in Portland today to find out the Portland State women have COVID issues, so the game against Portland State tomorrow night postponed. So instead, the Bobcats decided to hop a plane and fly to Cedar City, Utah. Well, actually, I think you fly into Vegas and then drive up to Cedar City. But anyway, the place, Southern Utah, number 2 in the Big Sky right now, to play Southern Utah tomorrow in a makeup game that was originally postponed because of the COVID. So that's a big game tomorrow night for the Bobcat. You go from preparing for an 0-12 Portland State team to a 9-3 Southern Utah team, which is just behind you in the standings by a game. In the women's Big Sky standings, it's Montana State 10-2, winners of 8 in a row, and then Idaho State 10-3. And then Southern Utah 9-3. You got the Lady Griz in there at 7-4. That's your top 4. But Southern Utah 9-3, and if you're the Bobcats, seriously, you flew out. You practiced all weekend preparing for a 0-12 Portland State team who's 5-15 overall. I actually had a Frontier Conference coach. We were talking earlier this year, and they said we would pay Portland State to play them at their site. That's how bad Portland State is this year. A Frontier Conference team would travel to Portland State and pay Portland State for the privilege of playing and beating them. That's look, it's tough. This isn't against the girls. It's just they've struggled. They're 0-12. They've lost 10 in a row. But the Bobcat women now preparing for Southern Utah, which is 9-3, game separation. So, good stuff there for sure. Let's see. Anything else we wanted to hit on? I think that's about. There's a really good article, 406mtsports.com, about Kylie Froelich, the former Sentinel star, who's coming off the bench for the Lady Griz and playing very, very well. Stayed there after everything that went down. So, let's see. I think that's about it. Man, big games tomorrow night. Frontier especially. Well, you talked about the Big Sky women, Bobcat men and Griz men too, but the Frontier, the men, huge one tomorrow. You've got number 14, Montana Tech at number 11, Carroll College. And the winner then has the inside track to the 1 seed and first round bye for the tournament. Well, I think 1 and 2 both get the first round bye. But who gets home court advantage? And there's nobody else close in the Frontier standings. It's those two and then everybody else. But that game tomorrow night is going to be physical and a good one. All right, let's do On This Day in History. It is brought to you by Pinkerton Leather Company, veteran-owned and combat veteran-owned company out of Wyoming, making everything in America with American leather, from wallets, purses, saddles, everything literally in between. Casey will get it done for you. All products built to last. Check them out, pinkertonleather.com. Use the discount code MTSports10 for a 10% discount on all products at checkout. Today is February the 9th. It is National Cut the Cord Day. I think that has to do with cable, right? It is Bagel and Lox Day, Toothache Day. It is also National Pizza Day. Pepperoni, the way to go. And you don't put pineapple on pizza, ever. 1932, the USA enters the Olympic two-man bobsled competition for the first time. I believe, was it over in Lolo, the first U.S. bobsled track? 1942, Philadelphia Phillies changed their nickname to the Phils. It did not last long. 1951, St. Louis Browns sign 45-year-old pitcher Satchel Paige. 1964, the 9th Winter Olympic Games closed in Austria, Innsbruck. 1968, at the Winter Games in Grenoble, world champ Jean-Claude Killy of France wins the downhill, the Olympics, first of a 3-event clean sweep of the Alpine events for Jean-Claude. 1971, 20 years after he was signed by the St. Louis Browns, Satchel Paige becomes the first Negro League player elected to Baseball Hall of Fame. The year after that, Josh Gibson and Buck O'Neill were not Buck O'Neill. Josh Gibson was inducted. I know that one. 1988, New Hampshire begins an NCAA record 32-game losing streak at home. It would end in 3 years later. 2014, slopestyle snowboarding makes its Olympic debut at Sochi. American Jamie Anderson, the first women's gold medalist. 2018, the 23rd Olympic Games opened up in Pyeongchang, South Korea. Happy birthday to some greats. Former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Danny White, born on this date in 1952, and Mookie Wilson. Yes, the Mookie Wilson of the New York Mets, also born 1952. Great baseball player for the Phillies, John Kruk, was born on this date in 1961. My favorite story with John Kruk, so he had testicular cancer and had surgery, and they removed a testicle. Well, after he got cleared to play in rehab, he came back, and the team still wasn't playing him. So he was sitting on the bench in a T-shirt that just said, "I think I'll take my ball and go home." It's a true story. It is Travis Tritt's birthday, the great singer from Marietta, Georgia, 1963. Travis Tritt was born. Country Club, Help Me Hold On, his first #1, was released on yesterday, 1992. Drift Off to Dream, great song. Anymore. Oh, Travis Tritt was fantastic back in the day. Still pretty good. Great follow on the Twitter as well. On This Day in History, brought to you by Pinkerton Leather. Check them out on Facebook. Pinkerton Co. PinkertonLeather.com. Discount code MTSports10. Get a 10% discount on all products.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
Fun show today. Lance Hartzler, as always, a great time. We did have Alex Eshelman for That's What She Said. Yesterday, That's What She Said, brought to you by Dinner's Done Right with Katie Garson-Forba. Now, Alex was set to join us. She was slammed at work. She'll be back next Wednesday for sure. But I will be with her tomorrow calling Bozeman and Gallatin boys and girls, and it's going to be a lot of fun on SWX. Check us out. Alex and I have been waiting for about a year and a half to work together. We were supposed to do a volleyball match down in Bozeman, November of 2020. Yeah, 2020. and got postponed because of the COVID and all that dumb stuff. So we've yet to actually call a game together, but we get to do one tomorrow, so it'll be a good time. Looking forward to seeing Alex. Remember, so no show tomorrow. We'll be back. It looks like Friday. It looks, but for sure Monday. But looking forward to it. Good luck tomorrow to all the state wrestlers that are going to get going. It's on the girls' side. Flathead girls going for a second straight team title. And that Flathead boys team is going to be tough to beat, too. But there's some great wrestlers out there. And Carson DeRozier looking to become a three-timer from Capital and looking like he's going to get it done at 38. He, by the way, is not the all-time wins leader at Capital. We'll have a story on that next week. Little miscounting was done, but he's still pretty damn good. Good luck to all the great wrestlers. Jefferson boys looking for a team title and absolutely destroying the competition. So a lot of great wrestling gets going tomorrow with the girls, and then the boys and girls both on Friday. It'll wrap up Saturday night down there at the Metra, and it's going to be a blast. It's going to be, 12 mats for the 4 different divisions, AA, A, B, C, and then the girls. Sydney going for another team crown in Class A. Man, kind of wish I was going down. Unfortunately, not going to make it, but it's going to be fun nonetheless. All right, hope you had a good time today. I know we did. Thanks to Lance Hartzler once again. Thanks to you for listening. And you can email us anytime, jason@jasonwalkershow.com, or Twitter handle @jwalkersports. And looking forward to calling my old alma mater, the Bozeman Hawks, tomorrow. Katie Burrows, now Katie Mobley, the head coach for the Bozeman Hawks women. Wes Holmquist leaving the Bozeman boys, going over to the Gallatin girls last year. It's going to be a couple of great, intriguing matchups with some great basketball. Watch us on SWX tomorrow night, beginning at about 5:45. Thanks to Capital Collision Center, all of our great sponsors. We'll do it again. Go to jasonwalkershow.com if you missed anything. This is a Wednesday on the Jason Walker Show. Have a great one.
The Jason Walker Show is produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.